hello, everybody. Oh, my God. I am so happy to have you here joining me today for this incredible online experience, talking and geeking out all about video podcasting tech. So we're going to dive deep into all kinds of stuff. And I cannot even tell you how excited I am to have this partner in this webinar from the Ecamm team, who is Doc Rock, the community manager over at Ecamm. And I cannot even tell you how excited I am to be here with him, because guess what? He's been around for longer than I have, for that matter, since about 2004, doing all things podcasting, teaching people how to get started. Oh my God, Doc Rock. Honestly, we could go down memory lane. In fact, after we were just talking about all kinds of stuff of how you used to hand code your RSS feed and submit it into Audio.
You had
What?
to. There was no apps back then. I think Lemon and Podler might have been. I mean, the names are so long in my head, I'll probably remember them all. But I think it was Lemon and Podler were like the first utilities that let you kind of like generate the majority of it. So then all you do is check it with the RSS validator on Google. Yeah, it was old school.
Oh my God. No. George, I see you. I did not call him old because I'm probably older than Doc Rock, just as an FYI, but both of us have been around for quite a little bit. So, I think one of the key things of why I wanted you to come and join me for this conversation is really, I think, through your work, I've learned to set my stuff up. I mean, there are some of you all who I go to whenever I have a question about gear, and especially kind of leaning more towards the video aspect of it, because I've been doing the whole audio podcasting thing for quite a while. So I had my posse that I could always reach out to, like, what kind of microphone should I get and all that stuff. But when it came to video, there's a lot of podcasters who are a little like, what are you going to do video? Like, what are you doing with the video?
I am so happy for those people. All the people that don't want to be on video and that are afraid to do video, I am so happy for them. I love them. We need them because we need something to look back at when we pass them. This is not, I'm sorry. I'm going to be real honest with you.
Yeah.
This is not the year to be in your feelings about not wanting to be on video. And if you want to stay there, God bless you and may the Lord keep you always. But we are definitely, the video space will surpass the audio space in probably the next year and a half. And I say that because I had been screaming to my posse for more than 2 years that YouTube was going to flip the switch. And the day that YouTube flips the switch, they instantly crush Spotify and Apple. And I'm like, no, Spotify has, like 200 million, podcast users. Okay. Apple has, close to 100 million. It's like 88, but I'll let you have that. And how many people on YouTube? I don't know, Doc. 2.5 billion. Oh. YouTube Shorts. Let's just start with that. YouTube Shorts. And I want you to think of this. I don't do shorts, right? I'm a podcaster. I just want to be on YouTube. Shorts gets 55 billion views a day. I want you to think of Shorts as the snacks at Costco. They just keep you in the store longer. And every time you taste one of them snacks and while you're walking around, you either buy what that lady stuffed in your face or you buy something else. But if you got what you needed, was the chicken, and went right back out the door, you can get out of Costco for $6. But the minute you touch one of those snacks and you spend 5 extra seconds in Costco, it's over $100.
Yep. I mean, I'll give you that. That's been my experience many times on YouTube, for sure, where all of a sudden I'm down a rabbit hole, or, in all honesty, even not even choosing it, as in like not being taken to a rabbit hole, but deliberately walking into the rabbit hole, right? Because that's also a thing. That's how I learned all the stuff. And so
100%.
Primarily from sitting I've never, and I think that this is something that I want, before we start discussing the actual gear part of it, I want to talk about it from the perspective of consuming video content, because we always get into the whole, you can take podcasts with you, you can go running, you can, you can take them in all these different places, which I hear it, because there's sometimes when absolutely there's a time and a place for all of these things, right? So, but whenever I was learning, particularly with learning stuff, information with the things that you were talking about, there's many times when I've had you in my ears and I've left my iPad somewhere and I'm about the house doing things, not connected, not watching. And then all of a sudden you'll say, and also here's the, insert whatever. And that's when I find like, where's the iPad? I have to go find it. You know what I mean? I got to go see what he said. And that's when I go back and pay attention to it. So it's not like I am like sitting down watching something. There's very few podcasts that I do that for.
100%. How I first sussed out that YouTube was going to do podcasts is I just noticed more and more of the video people that I would turn on and, sweeping, vacuuming, doing dishes, like being really angry about the fact that I hate folding clothes and be like,
I love folding clothes.
Why did I get stuck with this? So I would just put them on mostly because I'm trying to learn something, but this is something just like I told you pre-show, like I'm an audiobook fan, like massively, right? So to me, it was a way of catching audiobooks. And I would go say maybe to YouTube to listen to an audiobook because I'm somewhere where I don't have my account signed in. And I'm just, okay, I got it on. And then the next video plays would be like a speech from Gary Vee or Tom Billy or somebody that I follow like that, right? And I'm like, oh, wait, this is great. And then, when I'm sitting there listening and, Leo Laporte and the guys pop on and then they're talking. I was like, this is fantastic because I can just keep doing what I'm doing. I'm still listening. I'm rearranging, my audio cables or something. And it's just keeping me company. I talk to my friends and they're like, oh, yeah, I do that when I'm in the house by myself because I just don't want to be alone. So I'm not alone. Yep. Elsie's talking in my ear, then she's at my house with me. Right. So YouTube made a tab called Listenable, which means you didn't have to watch it. You could just listen and you would gather all the entertainment value. And then I was like, absolutely, this is it. I started telling all my people, YouTube's going to put a podcast tab. And for 2 years, I got laughed at. And then about a month ago, Thursday, they turned it on. And everybody's like, oh, Doc was right. And I go, I know.
There it is. So let's start the conversation then from we're going to touch base on a couple of topics here, some really high level topics, but I think the number one thing that I want to get started with here as we move into this discussion is, let's say we do have the podcaster who is now totally in agreement and they do want to take the step into video. They really want to start to add a layer of video to their already existing production. And let's pretend this podcaster is, an everyday podcaster who knows their way around the audio components. They're already comfortable creating a podcast. They already have their flow around that. What are the tools that you would suggest to go from audio to video podcasting for them?
Okay, this first one is going to blow most people's mind because you already have it. You need one of these, hopefully within the last 3 years. And it could be Android. Sorry for your life. iPhone, whatever. I'm teasing. I'm teasing.
Yes, totally.
It could be either or, right? It doesn't matter. And literally post that sucker up on a tripod, stick it on books, make it so that it covers your face. You got a good view of yourself, and just connect that to your computer. You're good to go. You already have the audio side. Now you can capture the video side. The advantage of using a tool like ours, if you happen to be a Mac user, if you're not, OBS works perfectly fine for people in the PC space, or vMix is another fantastic one for people in the PC space. If you want to have your interviewee like just call you in, similar situation, and you record there, it's really helpful. One advantage, and even if you plan on not doing a video podcast, we tell everybody you should set it up where, like right now, we can see each other, right?
Yeah.
the conversation is so much better when I can see you. I've done tons of audio podcasts, and I'm like, I wonder what they're doing. Right? So,
Yeah.
like, I know for a fact that if you can see the person, there is a just different level of engagement. So even if your intention is to throw the video away, grab your phone if you have one, plug it in. Most of the applications I spoke of just before will pick up your camera. And even if you don't have something like that, if you're in the same room with the person, Rode has a really cool app called Rode Capture, which is free,
Hmm.
and it is designed to work with their microphones, but it will record the front camera and the back camera simultaneously as two split videos that you can either decide to leave them separate, or you can have it pull up a similar look to us minus the borders. It would just be you on one side and me on the other as a single video, and all of the above are fantastic.
This is good. So it's super simple. You're just thinking that smartphone, if you will,
Yep.
from here. And just to clarify, folks, in case you missed it, to make clear what Doc Rock was talking about, currently, what you see on the screen, we're using a tool called Ecamm Live, and it is a tool that you get an opportunity to create your own show. Essentially, with you build little scenes that look differently, and as you move from scene to scene, you are able to add all those little layers that you see on there. Like, very simply, I could tap a little button or move through, and then you'll see Doc Rock by himself, you'll see me by myself. It's what you saw when we started doing our stuff here. We have this scene where we're both side by side, and this specific tool that we're using here is Mac only. And what are the options, Doc Rock, for anybody who happens to not have a Mac that you've seen have worked with?
OBS and vMix are the two that come to mind. And there's actually some decent web browser versions if you don't want to even install a program, or for some reason your company doesn't allow you to or whatever.
Right.
StreamYard and Restream are both web-based versions that do this. And then I think Riverside would be another one that's pretty good. They all, you just send a person a web link and you guys both connect via web link, just like Google Hangout, so to speak, and
Hmm.
you can do it from there.
It's kind of like
Was it's Google
superstar
Meet now.
Google Meet. I know it's like more of like a supercharged, more efficient, better in all the things, like a Zoom call, but extra. So
Yeah,
if you're
a lot of
starting out.
people use Zoom, and
Hmm.
I would tell you right now, if possible, don't use Zoom. And it's not that Zoom isn't great for meetings and things like that, but Zoom does a couple things. It's the video quality is going to be like 540, which is it's 2024 almost. Like, why are we doing that? But that's what they do because of the amount of people that use the service. It would crush their service if they gave everybody 1080. And then because of that, that Zoom thing, original audio on, original audio off, most people don't figure it out. Zoom also really crushes your audio quality. And as podcasters, we don't want that.
Yeah.
So I highly suggest not using Zoom unless you're just using it so you can see each other while you separately record the audio on a device and then edit from there.
Yeah, yeah. And also, I think what I want to chat to about with the stuff that you're talking to us about also is that we've got the camera, right? We have the camera set up, but is another layer, I think. Do you want to talk about another piece of hardware that's super important to video, doing video, especially in the way that we look, so that we look
Yes.
beautiful as we can?
Okay. So I'm just laughing because somebody noticed my awesome shirt.
I
You know,
know. Look at you,
isn't
hashtag
that
podcaster. Me
fancy?
too. See, but mine is
I
underneath my big.
I love this shirt, by the way. I just do because people often ask, "Hey, what do you do?" And I say, "Oh, I'm a content creator," and they don't understand that. So I can always fall back on podcaster now because at least they understand that. It
Yeah.
wasn't that long ago. I'm a podcast. They'd be like, "What pod? What? Never mind. You're gonna come to my lawn and do what? No, leave me alone. Leave me alone. Go away." Anyway, so one thing that's very important to the video side, when you're getting started, and a lot of people like there's like, well, my iPhone or my Android, like the image doesn't look as good as I want. You just don't have enough light. So if you get light, your video will get better, 100%. Like it will get a heck of a lot better. And that's probably the next thing in line because audio is the most important section. As long as you have that part covered, you're kind of sort of good to go. And a lot of people are going to just primarily listen to you anyway, even though you do the video part. But one of the advantages of doing the video part is doing what we're doing right now.
Mm.
And this is how we do our show. We record it live. And then so we just got our phones, our cameras. I'm using my vacation camera. It's a Sony ZV-E10. And then I have my lights. And then Katie has the exact same setup because I built it. And when we're talking, we're live, you get to see the comments. You get to see, like Cider Chat's asking a question about, video angles and stuff like that. I have like 5 cameras connected to my Ecamm. So yeah, I can switch all kinds of angles, right? But yeah, that's the key element is good lighting. So you just need a decent camera. You already own one that's in your pocket. If you happen to have a vacation camera, something that you take, when you go out, even back from like the Rebel T3, I believe, forward, like pretty much all of them can connect via USB to your machine and be used as a camera. And that's even better because you have bigger lens, better
Yeah.
control and things like that.
So I have a question here for you that
Yes.
I think would be, it comes up a lot, but it's a little bit more on the like philosophical side of things, I think is one of the reasons why I created it like this. So what do audio podcasters need to let go of when they're diving into video?
Fear of being on camera. It's
Hmm.
funny. And, it's us, it's our generation, right?
Hmm.
We were the generation, sit down, be quiet, don't speak unless spoken to. The adults are talking. You have no say so. If I ask you a question, you can answer. If I don't ask you a question, keep your mouth shut. So many of us have baggage that came from our upbringing that has nothing to do with reality. And what I love to tell my students is that smack dead in the middle of the word belief is lie. Most of the
Mm.
stuff we believe are absolute lies. So you just got to cut that part off. Don't worry. A camera has never beat anybody up. It has never like reached through. And then like I said, people worry about, oh, like this is what I look like. You know what? Nobody cares what you look like. If your information is solid, they're all about you. You know, that influencer thing where everybody looked cute and traveled around the world and held hands backwards, like that was all BS. Most of those people were in a crappy Airbnb. They would just go to the resort to take the pictures, and they got caught. And then so everybody's sort of anti-guru now, right? People want real people. They want to know that they can access you. So if you're coming on and my buddy Mr. Camera Junkie just popped in.
I see that. Yay.
He's talking about every type of camera on the planet. I'm a diehard Sony guy. I talk spicy about all the other brands, but Mr. Camera Junkie will bring out like an old camera that you have to pull apart to open the bellows so you can take a
Oh
picture.
my God.
And he'll explain, things about that, or he'll explain how this camera turned into this. And people who are just camera nuts, they all will listen, but they're not listening to him because he's an expert. He's just a guy who's learning this stuff too. So they feel like they can attain his level of knowledge because he's only, say, 20% ahead of the game. But when you feel the person you're talking to is 100% ahead of the game, that can be a little intimidating, right? So people
Yeah.
want to see people that are similar to them or in the same, sort of passion realms and a same level that they can attain. And so, yeah, the guru game is over. So you don't have to do any of that stuff. You can just be you.
Well, this is something that I do know that some producers have a little bit of pushback on that because it is a whole new thing. Before we move to the next part of our conversation, can you give us maybe a basic as to what the computer power needed to not, let's not talk streaming because streaming I think might be a little bit more of a challenge, but let's talk about creating like a video where two people are connecting with one another and recording themselves, right? Without necessarily going live, but I guess bandwidth's still going to be a problem. What do you think are the minimum specs for the hardware, the computer power that they need to do
If
video?
you're just recording and not streaming, on the desk right here, I have a 2012 MacBook Pro. It'll still work. It's absolutely flawless. That's not even that big a deal. But in the same token. Now, again, I can speak from the Mac side. The PC side, I have PC. I know about them. I know how to use Windows. It's not my favorite, so I won't speak on that, but it all applies. Nowadays, because of the chips that are in the Apple computers, right? You can go today to Costco and get an M1 Mac Mini for $300. No one has any excuse. And let's just say, I don't want to be on a computer. I could do the entire thing on an iPad.
Huh.
Like, those excuses are over. Because of things like StreamYard, because of things like Restream, things like that are just browser-based, pretty much every computer with a decent internet connection can do this. So even that part is out the window.
All right then, folks. So if you have any questions about moving from your audio podcast to a video podcast, drop them in the chat and we'll address them during our Q&A. But now I'd like to really kind of pick your brain about maybe somebody who is starting a podcast, but they are starting the podcast with the mindset around video first. They want to optimize video when they come in, right? So y'all have a podcast called The Flow over at Ecamm. Yes. That is an excellent, excellent podcast. I love the strategy that you all have for recording, for what you put out in both playlists inside of the YouTube channel, how it's delivered via audio. I mean, there's so many good things going on. And I feel you have so much to offer our people if they do want to optimize to like for a quick production, quick output for people to soften the workload for themselves.
Well, the first thing I want to remind everybody, look, now it's not a question of video or audio, it's a question of yes and. Remember that? Right. Anybody who's been to improv class, you know about yes and. If you're if you already have an audio podcast and it's doing fine where it sits, you can keep that. It doesn't have to change. All you're going to do is record now with the camera on, and hopefully you can edit this very simply. If you're not a good editor, don't worry. There's a bunch of new stuff coming out in the play that makes it easier. Some AI editors are out there nowadays. You have people like, Mr. Camera Junkie who will edit it for you. There's lots of ways to handle this thing. But now that we're getting like Final Cut Pro for the iPad, which has me extremely excited, right? You're just basically going to do everything you were doing with your audio podcast. You're just going to do it with the camera on. Now, way back in 05, 06, when we first got the ability to do a video podcast, what we would do is turn on QuickTime Recorder or Windows Movie Recorder, and we record ourselves. And then we would be talking on Skype. At the end, we would drop the video into Google Drive or Dropbox, and then somebody would connect that together and make that a video podcast. So when I was on The Big Show and The Mac Show on British Tech Network, we literally had people Skyped into 6 individual computers, computers, and all of us recorded on our side. We did the live from 6 Skype calls on 6 computers. Now a single computer can handle that. And we would all send our video files basically to England, and they would just edit it, and the video version of the podcast would come out. So we've been doing this forever. Not that video podcast is new, but you can always keep your audio and your video side. Now, the simple approach is through something that allows you to talk to someone, again, like Ecamm or OBS and OBS Ninja, you're going to record your show. I highly suggest, if you can get your nerves over it, do it live, because you have a studio audience, you have people you can play off, and the energy is just so much better, right?
Yeah.
Take that recording and edit that to the concise version. From that, someone gets the audio section. You're going to send it through Libsyn. They're going to syndicate it everywhere. That's what the send part's for. And then you're going to take the video part and you're going to finish your edit. You're going to post it as a playlist on YouTube. You could take the recording, if you don't want anyone to see it because you flubbed your lines or whatever, put it on unlisted or private. One smart thing to do, because everybody complains about monetizing, the live video only for members. And I'm going to turn that off the day. If you miss the recording, it's gone, right? So your members, through your Patreon, your Discord, however you do your membership, your members can watch the live taping, be there for the Q&A, the pre-show, the after show, enjoy some quality time with your guests. But the general populace, they'll see the finished video and the finished audio. That's how you do it.
Nice.
And now you can monetize. Real simple.
Oh my God. No, that seems like it seems very simple. How did you decide when you started to do the workflow, you know, with your with the flow? How did you come up with the flow, the actual flow of the editing process, of the production
The most
process?
common question, I tell my students all the time, all the content you need is in your question and answers, right? Your
Mm.
audience will tell you. Everyone kept asking you, what's the podcast workflow for Ecamm? What is the live stream, workflow for Ecamm? Like, how do I do this? How do I make my show look like you? Where's the workflow? So I'm hood. I just chopped work off. Just called it the flow. Let me see your flow. And right about that time, all the books and stuff about getting in the flow mind state were coming out as well.
Mm-hmm.
And I just really liked it. And so I said, Katie said, oh, we should do a workflow show. And I go, I know, let's call it the flow. And Katie was like, done, let's go. And that was it. And what was so nice about it, this is what I mean. You recently spoke with Katie, right?
Yes.
She's amazing. When
Yes.
we started back in June, Katie was not about doing a live recording, right? She was
Right.
like, I work for this live stream, but I don't like doing them. I still feel uncomfortable, whatever. And I was like, come on, you can just get uncomfortable with being uncomfortable, get comfortable with being uncomfortable. Let's go. And so she was like, yeah, I want to learn this stuff. So let's just do it. So she just switched off the perfectionist mode. We're both Virgos, so it's very hard to do. But she just went trick and turned it off. I go, yeah, I turned mine off, and I don't know. I try to be like a Gemini or something for a minute because it stresses me out. But hey, whatever, just turn it off and let's go. And we've had fun ever since, And now she's like so professional, and it's like
Yeah.
it just comes like you could never tell that 6 months ago she was terrified of doing it.
That's amazing. I did not know that part of the equation because I've
Don't tell
only
her I said
seen
that.
her.
I hope she's
Yeah,
not listening.
I know. She's always been doing such fabulous work. I mean, all the way, you would never know it. You would never know it. So let's take it from, we talked about prior to just using the camera that you have, which is your phone, let's say, and it's basic light of some kind, light source, so that we can really show you up. What if you want to, as a podcaster, start to build your studio? Like, what are some, like maybe the top 3 investments, and maybe give us a little bit of budget, some actual cash to think about storing away or, waiting for or saving for to up level our stuff?
Okay, so I tell her it's always like this. It's mic game first, and then you go with your light game second, and then you go with your camera game third, right? So it's sort of it's an MLC process. It's always start with your mic game. It's the most important, right? So many people end up going through 3-4 mics because when we all tell them that you want to get an SM7B, an MV7, a Heil PR40, PR30, electric voice RE20, everything that's over $150, they're all like, no, that's okay. I'm just going to get this $99 mic. So they get it, and it works. It just doesn't sound too good. Then they go and they buy another one, and it works. And then eventually they end up here. I don't know if you've seen podcasts, but they all end up here.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
if you're not that suffering for the flow, go straight to what Elsie is using, which is the baby brother of this, or baby sister, because they got 3 different versions.
There's all kinds. Yes.
There's all kinds. And it's not that Shure is the end all be all, because it kind of sort of is. But when you listen to radio, most of your radio stations through the entire country is coming in on one of these or the electric voice equivalent, which is the PR30, PR20, right? So both of those microphones are close to $400, and I understand why that freaks people out. But what has happened is because podcasting has exploded, the MV7, amazing. I have on the floor over here a brand new pod mic from Rode, pod mic USB which is going to be, I believe, 150 bucks. That is amazing, and it has USB, but it also has XLR, so you can switch back and forth as you grow. And yeah, so starting with something good like that is going to be fine. Now, do understand everybody's voice sounds different on
Hmm.
different mics. So if you
Absolutely.
can rent from a band store or whatever to hear how you sound, the recorded version, because there will be some people that just sound funny on even an expensive mic. You don't have to go all the way nuts. And
Yeah.
right next to me, at my leg on the floor, there's like a $2,000 mic. When I started doing my podcast, I used to use a $15,000 mic. It was useless, but it was fun to flex. So
Yeah.
I mean, it didn't make it sound any better because it's not really designed for that. It's designed for singing, and you guys do not want to hear me sing.
But at least we got clarity here in terms, especially you renting something, folks who are kind of testing out, because I know I understand it is a little bit scary to invest so much money on a piece of gear, especially if you're not used to buying tech stuff, right? So
Yeah,
I get
and
that.
well, so you know what we say real quick? We say
Mhm.
buy it right or buy it thrice. Because what's going to end up
This is
happening is
true.
you'll buy 3 of them, and it will cost you more than had you just do the right thing in the first place, Spike Lee.
Yeah, absolutely. And so we have mic as the number one thing. Then we have lights. What do you think about
Yes.
the lights? Where should we start?
V you want video lights. Nowadays, oh, it's so awesome. I just came from the National Association of Broadcasters, NAB, fancy little show where we
Ooh,
all go to learn about broadcast gear, camera
yeah.
gear, lighting, whatever. The lighting companies are all making really affordable but professional video lights because the technology has
Mm.
just gotten so good. When I started in my podcast, I used to use these things called Joker bugs, and they're like $3,000 lights, right? And they're
Wow.
super hot, and but you want them because they're the purest color. You want pure color lights because you're going to end up adjusting your camera. Now, somebody somewhere is going to tell you, "Oh, just post up in front of the window. You'll look cute." Do not listen to that person because you know what happens? Weather. Mother Nature just decides today is Elsie's recording day and I feel like thunderstorming. And then now your set ain't gonna look so cute because it's dark outside. Right. I live in the tropics. We don't play with the sunlight. It's gone in 20 minutes anyway. So unless you have a 5-minute podcast, it would completely change during the time we did this. So you can get cob light. Start is cob light means circuit on board, and this is the old school way. These are the LED with the little pixels on it. Anybody listening on audio, I'm showing one of those lights with a bunch of little bubbles. Those are sort of going by the wayside, and we're getting what's known as a cob light, where it just seems like one yellow tiny thing in the middle
Yeah.
that's like 10x brighter than this. And cob lights you can get starting at like 110 bucks, and you get one of those with a big modifier. Now, what do I mean by that? This little silicone piece that I was showing that fits on top of this. Again, anybody looking at the audio, there's like a deck of cards with a plastic thing that goes on the top that makes the light soft. That's a small soft box. You want a big soft box because it gives you that even flow. And if you have ring lights, enjoy them, replace them as soon as possible because they they have a weird lighting pattern, and they don't, unless you're sitting right in front of it, they don't give you the even glow that you think they do. They're not designed for that. They're designed for shooting products through the thing, and a lot of people in the beauty space bought them, and everybody bought them because they're small and cute. You don't want that. You want a nice, soft, big light source. And again, you can start nowadays in around the $100 $150 range and just look amazing.
Do you have any preference as to brands? Because, a lot of our people tend to want to go one place that you feel that you
Yes.
could feel comfortable saying, go here.
I'm very comfortable with the brand called Nanlite. There's 18 of them in this room. It
Oh,
doesn't look
wow.
like it. I think this freaks people out because my room is dark,
Yeah,
but
yeah.
my room is dark on purpose. When you watch a movie and the couple is in the car, there's a lighting in that. There's like 7 lights in that car to make it look that way. We're not, here's what I tell my students: you're not controlling light, you're controlling shadow, right?
Mm,
So what I'm doing is, making the shadow of the ficus back there, in my set, and I have the back of my TV glowing because I have 4 lights behind the TV. There's the on air side. Everything is perfectly placed to get the look that I'm showing. So Nan Light, these are all Nan Lights. I love the brand. I've met the CEO. She is absolutely amazing, and she
That's
is very
awesome.
customer centric. And I grew up in a house with 7 women, so I was the baby boy. I kind of levitate to the female run companies
How
just
about
because
that? Look at
yeah,
this.
it's because of how I grew up, right? I just have a
Yeah.
different understanding of what struggles they had to go through in order to be where they are. So if they managed to make it through all the crap and still be good, I have more respect for them.
Absolutely. I'm all for that. I didn't even know it was my first thought. I'm like, she? What? Because that's so unusual. It's sad that I still have that thought.
You
Can
think
you
it's sad for
spell
you?
that?
Imagine being the only boy in the house with 7 Latino women.
Oh my God. No, I'm sorry for
Okay,
you. You made it. You made
I made
it.
it. I made it out safely.
I know you made it. You made it. Can you spell that for us? Is it NAM? Nam?
Nan, Nan,
Nan. Nan.
Nanlite. Yes,
Nan light. So maybe the
yeah,
team can put it out there
I
for
love them.
sure.
I have a
And yeah.
I gave Corey some links. I have a kit which just has all kind of light recommendations on
Oh,
there,
great.
and so
That's
if anybody
amazing.
just go to that page, and on that kit page, it has all my nerding out stuff for all myriad things.
Perfect. So now we're moving into cameras. So we've got the phone. What if we don't want that phone? We want to do a little something else. What's our next step?
I like an Insta360 link. Um, it's really tiny. I love to take it because I could travel with it.
Mm-hmm.
I want to say it's about the size of a half a block of cheese. If you have the little small, like,
Yes.
4-ounce block of cheese and you cut it in half, that's about how big it is. But it's what's known as a PTZ camera. So that has pan, tilt, and zoom. So it can do things. If you move around in your shot, it will actually track you. It's fantastic. It's 4K. They're relatively inexpensive. Plugs in with a single USB cable, and the color and picture is very, very amazing. So I happen to just love my Insta360 link. They have a competitor called the Ozbot Tiny, but it's
Oh.
OBSBOT.
Uh-huh.
And Ozbot Tiny is very similar. I just like Insta360 stuff, so I picked them, better. But they're quite amazing. And this is good because the old standard, like Logitech C920 and
Yeah.
Elgato Facecam, they work absolutely fine. But now that we have better quality cameras, it's just better,
Yeah,
right?
you can like bump it up for just a little extra investment. You can really take that quality from something like, the Logitech C960 30. Is it 930? Yeah, whatever.
Yeah,
That the
920,
Logitech
930,
one.
yeah.
See,
Yeah.
930. The one that everybody buys a lot. Yeah, absolutely. To be able to like ump it up. I own that Insta360 link as well, and I'm very impressed by it, particularly the way that it adjusts wherever it is that I am, and it works super, super well.
It
So
has an
let's,
intelligent framing. That's what's really cool. So
yeah,
not only will it track you, you can say do intelligent framing. And so what happens is if you move closer, it'll zoom in. And when you move back, it'll go to like a waist level shot. I don't know how this thing does it. It's kind of incredible. I just,
yeah.
and I name my cameras.
And your name, mine is just my little robot, is what I call my little camera, is my little robot. Because it's so cute when you turn it on, it goes, tick, 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 tick,
Yes.
tick, tick,
It
tick.
just does a little thing.
It does a
Yes.
little thing and it
Ah,
makes it so cute. But
I
anyway,
love the fact that you
regardless with
like
the
it.
cuteness, let's take one more, like
Okay.
one more price point. Like what about not that? What about another camera that's a little more expensive than that? That's going to take that production up a
My
little more.
favorite camera of choice is known as the Sony ZV-E10. Now, do not get this confused because there's a ZV-E1
Mhm.
that's like $2,200. A ZV-E10 is around 675, 700. And to me, what I really like about the Sony cameras, and again, Canon has an equivalent, so does Panasonic, so does Nikon. They all have similar cameras. But what I like about the Sony camera is it has the fastest autofocus in the industry.
Mhm.
So if you happen to be showing things, if I have to pop up something like this and show it to the camera, the autofocus is quick. Now I have mine set on manual focus because I'm a videographer and I have control freak issues. But um, normally, if you have something you need to show product or you just want to look good at any given point without your camera going blurry in and out, the ZV-E10 is incredible. It is absolutely incredible. Again, Canon M50 Mark II is an equivalent. And then I'm forgetting what the Panasonic one is, but never mind me. Listen to Mr. Camera Junkie. He will give you all of the right answers as far as some of the other ones out there, but very inexpensive. And what's good, here's a good question, right? So I'm doing my stuff, I'm doing my podcast, whatever. How do I get more people to my show? Well, you take your camera that you also bought for your show and you use it to record short clips and you
Mm.
post those short clips places and you let people start to understand you and fall in love with you. You are the brand, right? And then they'll want to come and see more of your stuff and then they'll follow you on your oh, you got a podcast too? Oh, I like this person, blah blah blah. So that's how you do it. And having a camera that you can take on the go and get fantastic shots without having to be me, videographer. Uh, yeah. So that's what's good. Very easy to use, simple camera. We have tons of them in our community. So I know of at least like 8,000 people that would help you.
Oh my God. No, and that is true, by the way, folks. If you happen to be part of Facebook or you're still hanging out on Facebook, the Ecamm community is really incredible. It's actually why I bought my Insta360. I don't believe it was because of you, Doc Rock, but it was because of the Ecamm community because I was looking for a very specific use case, right? So I have my studio set up. And I knew that I was going to be traveling and I did not want to be using what I actually do have my Sony EVE-10. I always forget how to say it. That's what I'm using right now, but I didn't want to carry it. I needed to
Yep.
really be compact with my travel. And so I was like, I need something small. I need something good. I need something that's not going to be like super expensive. And I need it to work with my computer like it was
And you
more
know what's funny?
webcam talk.
I had the exact same thing because I
Mm,
just got tired of dismantling my studio every time
yeah.
I go. Because the day I get home, for me, all my flights are long, right? I'm in the middle of the ocean. So when I get home, the next day I would have an interview like this, and I got to come down early to set the studio back up.
Yep.
So I was like, you know what? I'm over this. I'm just get a camera that is good enough to take with me on the road. And the I'm sorry, the link fit that description. I would be remiss if I didn't remind everybody this as well. Sorry, I didn't think about the link, but I just thought of it because Mr. Camera Junkie is here. They made a newer, cheaper version for someone that's scared of the $700 price point, and it's called the ZV-1F. It's exactly
Oh,
the same camera minus the interchangeable lens. So this one is a stuck
no
lens
way.
version, and I believe it's only like 450, 500. But
Wow, I
all
did
the
not
other
know that.
features are very much the same. And Mr. Camera Junkie has been specializing on teaching people that because he wants to give people a very easy, accessible, entry level Sony camera.
Yeah, no, that is, I did not know that. That's fantastic because I have found it very easy to use. Mind you, for anybody that is moving, and this is just my experience, if you're moving from audio to video, do know that you are still going to obviously have to figure out stuff. You're still going to have to figure out where things get plugged in. You're still going to have to figure out what your settings are. You still have to make sure you turn the camera on, right? I mean, there's lots of different things that we forget to often do. And I think that that was one of the biggest pain points that at least that I've had. And the reason I got my other little camera was exactly what you're talking about, because sometimes you troubleshoot and you stick things in all the different places and you have it working. And then when you have to dismantle it and put it back together, sometimes you forget what you
Yes.
did and then something's weird. And it's annoying. I didn't want to take that. I wanted, that's, I guess, first world problems to be able to buy myself another camera. But it just, that's just the way it goes with a lot of these
Here's
things.
a pro tip, a super simple pro tip. On the Sony cameras, I can't speak for the other brands. There is a memory function, at least on the ZV-E10, I know there is. You can set your settings how you love it, say, store this as my settings. If you mess anything up, you can always just go to the memory function and
Mm.
it's back at the beginning. I have to do that for Katie because Kid and Glenn, our developers, are always messing with the camera and changing things in order to help customers out. And then Katie comes in to do the show and she's like upside down. Like,
Yeah.
what the heck are these guys doing? So I built her a memory one. You can just boink and put it right back to how she had it. So
This is a
that's a
huge
good
tip.
pro tip.
Love, love, love that. But on that note, though, let's talk about connectivity and workflow and storage. So, yes, we have the camera, we have the lights, we have the microphone, of course. But how do these things talk to each other? What are some key things that folks need to keep in mind, and possibly give us some idea of like brands that are great for cables and connective hubs and all of those things?
I'd love you for asking this question. And the primary reason why is it goes forgotten. So many
Yes.
people set their whole studio up and everything they think is working, and it's just not working right. And so Anna, who you'll know from Ecamm Fam, Anna used to be a Cisco sales rep. And so one of her famous lines is respect layer one, which is
Mm.
check the cables, right? Like the first thing to check is the cable. Because when you buy an expensive setup, you always assume the thing that you sank all your money into is what's broken, and it's a $3 cable, right? So this
Oh,
happens all the time. Number one,
yeah.
stop buying $3 cables. Let's start there. Number two, uh, if you have not changed your router in your house in the last 3 years, you probably need to start there, right? Many of the older routers cannot handle the new speeds that the ISPs are handing you. So, for instance, last month, I got gig fiber at my house. And when they came in, Spectrum was like, "Do you want us to give you our new Wi-Fi modem?" And I was like, "Never that." And the guy was like, "Oh, I see you have commercial grade equipment. Yeah, you don't need our thing." And I was like, "Yes." All right. So I buy commercial grade routers. Why? Because they're cheaper than consumer grade because they don't need, all of the colorful boxes and things, right?
Mm.
So anyway, after he set everything up and he leaves, I'm checking my speeds. I cannot get past 250 by 300. Like I could not get past that
Ooh.
mark. And I was like, wait a minute, I got all pro stuff. Like, what's going on? It turned out the one that I had was literally like 2 months prior to the new version. So mine had a maximum throughput of 400 megabits per second. I just bought gig fiber stuff. So just by switching to the modern version, it has a maximum throughput of 3 gigs per second. I only have one. So now it's fast. So literally, I had to go buy a brand new router, and simply changing the router, everything is flawless. I got gig fiber in the house now. So a lot of people are getting these upgrades from Spectrum or Cox or whomever, and you're running in your old stuff because it was working, and you're not even getting the speeds that you're available to. So yes, if you have older router, and by older I mean like 3 years or older, you probably need to change your router.
Yep.
And my favorite brand is Unify, and I love the Dream router. The Dream router is about $300, but it does everything, high security. You can be like, "Hey kids, I don't know why your Xbox is slow. My stream and Zoom calls are amazing," because you can you can slow down their Xbox.
Oh my God, I love that. We've had to really invested a lot of money on our setup because my husband's office is in sort of like the premise, but it's far away, as in like a 3 minute walk. And I forgot the name of the brand. I wish I could remember right off the bat right here, but actually the guys from Clean Feed told us to look at this specific company. And so now it's so fast and
Yeah.
so much stuff that has
So
had
the
to go
Unify
into.
stuff and PF Sense are the most popular
Is
with
that
all of
what
the
it is?
network
It's
nerds
probably,
right now. So it's
yeah.
probably one of those two. Was really cool about the
Ubiquity.
Ubiquity. Yeah, that's
Ubiquity.
Unify. That's
Yeah,
me.
yeah, yeah. That's what we
My
have. We have
whole setup.
the whole
My
thing for
house,
us. Yeah.
I redid all of my customers. I
Yeah.
did all of their stuff. I changed it to Ubiquity. Why? Because I only need to deal with one brand, and Ubiquity is amazing. And their
Yep.
stuff, if you look on Amazon, it won't necessarily be the cheapest because people like play funny with the price. Just go straight to ubiquity.com and get it. I did put the Dream Router, the Amazon link there. But if you, whatever, you don't see it and you live in a place where they will ship to you, go straight to ubiquity.com. And they're amazing, super in a fantastic community like us. Everybody's willing to help. But yeah, and
I
you could
love
do
it.
outdoor Wi-Fi that's waterproof.
It's
Like, yeah,
great.
they're
That's exactly
good.
what we have. Yeah, we have. It's phenomenal. Like it was crazy. We do have. I live in the boonies, and we have a nonprofit actually that serves businesses, and it's the only way I can get Wi-Fi on in my house. But the other house that is the little office where my husband works can't. There's no white, like we can't get it there. So we had to use the Ubiquity system to get it over there. And now he was getting maybe 10 up and down, maybe 10 up and down, sometimes 5 or less. And now he's getting almost 100 up and down, just
See,
all the way over
there you
there.
go.
It's great. It was astounding how
It's
fast it
so
was
good.
once we set it
It's
up.
so
But
you know how I found Ubiquity? I went to a Trailblazers basketball game and I was looking at the ceiling and they have Wi-Fi in the whole place because you can order your food from the seat. And then
oh
I
my
was like, yo, this is
gosh.
good. So I started looking around and I'm like, oh, they're using this unit. What the heck is that? So I went to go Google it and I just fell in love. So I've been using their stuff for about 8, 9 years now. They're incredible. They're
It's
really
amazing.
incredible.
And
Oh, and
so,
another
oh,
quick one that's even
yeah.
cheaper. Change all your Cat 5 wires to Cat 6. Your older wires do start to slow down, and especially if they're in a place where they get stepped on, like if they're underneath the carpet or whatever, and they just start to lose issues. So switch all your wires to Cat 6. Get yourself a new modem, and those mesh systems from like Google and Netgear, whatever, the Orbeez, things like that,
Uh-huh.
they're good, but not necessarily the best. I would say look at if you're going to build a mesh, look at the unified mesh. It's actually cheaper than those things. Not very hard to set up. There's a bunch of videos of people doing it online, and you'll get better connectivity and probably save $100.
That's great. Can you please talk about USB hubs, please? Because I do know,
Yes.
because it's not a hub. Are they called hubs? Yes. The ones that are like,
This is a hub. So anybody, now this is going to be very Mac oriented, but it does work for the PC people as well. On some of the PCs, they call it USB 4, but Thunderbolt is the move nowadays, right? So this is Thunderbolt 4. And this I'm showing again to people listening on the home version. This is a Thunderbolt hub. There is a massive difference between a hub and a dock. I want you to think of a dock like an extension cord. All it does is just make more holes. And as you have seen at one of your uncle's house, they got way too much stuff plugged into it and it's a fire hazard. Most of the things that we're buying for $20, $30, they are attacking a single USB bus with like way too much wattage and way too much data, and that single USB bus can't handle it. On a hub, there's actually chips inside here that mitigate traffic. So there's a little traffic officer right here saying data go this way, this way, this way, this way. And the power management, this little thing comes with a 150-watt brick. So each one of these is basically 65-watt plus, just because of the way it can mitigate power, and you don't have problems with things dropping out because the power got too low, or you run into problems where the traffic, because you got video microphone, a USB bus can't handle all of that. Something like this with Thunderbolt will really, really help. If you are going to use a dock, pick like OWC, CalDigit, Belkin, Kensington, Sonnet. Do not buy Mike's Hub, right? That thing will ruin your stuff. It normally doesn't have enough power. You'll touch a lot of your devices and they're over hot because the amperage is wrong. And like you're literally burning out your stuff trying to
mm,
save $20 on the dock. Like, just don't do it. Get a good, high quality dock. I think OWC and CalDigit are my two favorites, but I do respect a Kensington or Belkin, the one that's built by Dell. Dell has a fantastic one. But like, yeah, if you see something on Amazon and it has consonant and vowels in places that don't look like they belong, nah,
uh-huh. And
that's
and
not
this was
good.
something I hadn't budgeted for was that for my setup. It's something that because they're not inexpensive. They run at, I don't know, $299, $399 for a good hub to be able to really invest in that one. That was a little like bonus expense that I didn't know that I had to have. It was just a surprise when it came to it. So I have one last question for you in terms of power, and this is specifically focused on the not PC, but like not a laptop. Is there a tool for when the power goes off and
Yes.
you know, don't want your computer to just turn off, right? Because laptops can stay on, but and you know, I'm sure you experience some light outages over
In
in
Hawaii,
Hawaii. Yeah.
all the time.
So then, like, what is that thing in between the power going off so that you can at least have a moment to save your stuff and you
All right,
don't
these
lose it?
are available at Costco. I think the one that I have right here, I did pick up at Costco. It's a Cyber Power uninterrupted power supply. I think I paid about $120 for this, but this will run my computer, my RAID, that's my storage, everything for like an hour and a half after the power goes out, which means it gives me
Mm,
time to shut things down quietly, right?
right.
And this one is like a 1500 volt amp version. You can get them as small as like, you know, I would say don't go much smaller than 500 for the average system. I bought it bigger than it has to be because we have real estate office and the printer, every time you fire up a laser printer, it draws a lot of power. So
Oh.
every time there's printing happening from the other office, my whole system goes click and nothing happens because of this, but it can really protect you. And one thing you mentioned, which I just want to make sure we cover, the brownout is actually worse than the blackout. If you live in a place, a lot of places in LA, for instance, do this. In order to mitigate the amount of people using power at one time, they'll lower the voltage and it causes what's called a brownout. It's not enough for your lights to go off, but everything is running at a higher amperage. Common in windy
Oh.
places with storms or overpopulated places. It's like remember when we used to fire up the curling iron or the hair dryer back in the day and the
Yeah.
light would do like that? That's a
Mm-hmm.
brownout. That's
Ah.
actually really, really bad for your system. So a battery backup or uninterruptible power supply, as it's properly named, will prevent your system from being damaged by those really odd voltage fluctuations.
This is amazing. I love that so much. Thank you so much, Doc Rock. We are going to move into some Q&A. I'm going to take you
Let's
over,
go.
maybe y'all, for like a
Excited.
few minutes so that we can, Corey or anybody else on the team that sees some questions coming in there. This is the time, y'all, to put it all in there. I know we did have a question about best lighting, I believe, for or tip or workflows for lighting green screen. If you
Yes, I did
can
see that.
share a little bit of that, that would be amazing. I hope I can
All
find
right.
that question.
I'll give you my nice answer and then I'll give you the not nice answer.
Okay.
The nice answer is you want to light the green screen first, okay? And so your key element in lighting the green screen is you want a even solid light on the screen with no dark spots, no shadows. And what most people do is they light themselves and they let the light on their face spill back to the screen. You don't want that. You want to light the green screen first. As a matter of fact, when I was at NAB, I saw a company showing off a lit green screen. And it was
Oh.
all the green screens were flawless because it was lit itself from the back.
Oh
You
my
know,
God.
similar, you know, the thing at the mall, you are here, how the lights
Yeah,
inside
yeah.
there.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
it was like that. You stand in front of it
Mm.
and then you do your setup, and it's perfect because there's no shadows. What causes holes in the green screen or that little weird thing around that's because your body is putting a shadow onto the green screen, and then those dark spots, the key doesn't work. Right. So light the green screen first. After you get it properly lit, then you light your face and, you know, nice, even quality light. The other thing, if you can, put some distance between your body and the green screen. Most people try to put the green screen like right there. And as you can see, even with my hand, if you put one hand in front of the other, you can see the shadow. As soon as you move it away, the shadow gets softer till it disappears. New word, until it disappears, right? So if you can, put some distance. Now, here is the not nice answer.
Uh-oh.
Unless you're highly skilled at lighting a green screen or willing to invest in about 6, 7 lights to do it properly, forget that it even exists. Every time I see someone do a green screen bad, I'm like, they would have been better to just have the messy room because bad green screen is horrible. And you've seen it. You know
Yeah.
exactly what it looks like, right? It's really, really, really obnoxious. So yeah, you do not want to do that. Yeah.
All right. And so we have another one here, equipment like Rodecaster or Elgato Stream Deck. We didn't talk about those. I have both of them here. So that's just another layer to that. Doc Rock, what do you think about? Oh, and do you have oh, I'm very sad. I love that. That's the one I want.
I can only show you the
It's
box. I
both.
can't talk about it just yet, but give me a
Oh,
week or two. It's still a little bit. They said I can show the box. It's still under secret scroll right
oh
now.
my God.
But if you follow my channel, you would know all about it. The day they say go, I will be like the cartoons.
Yep. Yep. So he just, should we say what it is though? Because nobody
Yes.
knows.
And
That's it. Yeah, go
oh,
ahead and tell
yeah.
them.
So what's really cool about this device is it's both the capture card and like a little Rodecaster Pro. So you have a single mic input, you have trigger pads so you can make noises like that if you use fruity language, like sometimes I
Fruity
do.
language.
And you have like headphone control, and yeah, it's really, really cool. So they basically took a Rodecaster Pro and built in a capture card so that a single device will cover everything you need, right? And capture card is basically how you get a standard camera like this into your machine. So I think it's a really cool device. I can't wait until that I'm able to tell the planet. And Stream Deck, it's a very good question, Cider. I appreciate that. Stream Deck is a keyboard. It is a fancy keyboard. It's a keyboard with little lights instead of plastic keys. So instead of having a key with a K on it, I have a little screen that I can put whatever on it. It is identical to the keyboard that you have. It just gives you some stuff.
Yeah, there we go. 1 second. Sorry, let me look at some of that stuff. I think we had a question from Isaac that said, what does this do? But Isaac, I don't know what you're talking about, if it's the Stream Deck or maybe something else that we might have been talking about. And then Oscar asks a very interesting question there. What's the trade-off between having the microphone close to your mouth when your audience needs to read your lips while listening?
Under normal circumstances, yeah, I don't know why your closed captions are not working today, because normally they work.
Yeah,
And so
I
there
don't think
could just be, I don't think you can turn them off. I think
yeah.
YouTube is probably just having a conniption right now, but they will be available after. If you know that's the case in your audience, do exactly what I'm doing. Just tilt it to your chin and it will still sound just as good, and you can still read my Jemanganous lips. So
Yeah.
yeah, just point it at your chin. It's still good. The whole thing that people love to do with the mic out of the shot, totally not important on podcasts because we're expecting to see the mic.
Right.
And the fullness of the audio when you can be in a proximity zone, it's something in the microphone known as a fructum, classic word. But when you can be in that proximity space, just the fullness of the audio is so much better. It sounds hollow and thin when you move the mic further away. And you also pick up all the room noise, which you then have to EQ. And by the time you do that, you start ruining the sound quality. So that is a good question, Oscar. And yeah, I don't know why YouTube is tripling, because normally it's there.
Yeah, and I have whenever I record, Oscar, I have my mic on the side like this.
Yes,
I think that works well for me. I
it does.
also tend to, have really weird sounds with my mouth sometimes with the S's and obviously the plosives and stuff. And this kind of helps me. It's helped me in editing and post production a lot. So I
Yes.
started to do this not because of camera, but because it's easier for me to be able to manage my own weird voice habits. But that's it.
And
That's
it
it with
totally
that.
works. As you can
Yeah.
see, it completely works. I'm an old radio guy. Eat the mic.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
that's why I do this because of eat the mic. But yeah, that is a
Totally.
fantastic question.
Yeah, absolutely. We have, and so the Stream Deck. Isaac wanted to know about the Stream Deck, and I think Doc Rock said it's kind of like it is absolutely a keyboard, and it can be used for many different things. You can use it even if you're not streaming, but it is called the Stream Deck because streamers did use it a lot so that they could, every kind of key, you can tell it what to do depending upon what program you're using. So if you
Correct.
want the key on the left, on the bottom left is the one that mutes you. The one that's on the right, it's the one that ends the call. If all of these different things. And Ecamm supports Stream Deck, which is the piece of software that we're using right now. And so I have mapped some scenes to being able to push a button. So if I just push a button, I don't even have to think about it. It just changes into all of these different places. And so it makes it easier to navigate. And for me to know, like physically where I have it, I can just push the button because I know where it is without having to constantly be going, okay, I got to move my mouse and move all the things. It really just is a tactile thing that I can use to
Yes.
work for me.
Yeah, and but you know what? People get scared of it because they see all the buttons and like, oh,
Yeah.
it's going to be hard. It's going to become. It's a keyboard. It is no
Yeah.
different than a keyboard that came with your computer, but it's just extra buttons. And what's cool because you can put the pictures behind it, you can make it obvious as all get.
Yes.
One of my favorite Stream Deck things is I have a Stream Deck situation loaded for when I'm watching YouTube. And it's like various versions of closed caption on and off, make the closed captions bigger, smaller.
Mm.
I have jump to 0%, 10%, 20, 30, all the way through 90%. So I can just hit a button. And because, the videos where people still love using the fancy long intros, I can
Yeah.
just boom, jump to
Yeah.
10%. Because I know this particular person goes, hey, everybody, I'm Oscar, and today I'm going to talk to you. Before I start, say hi to my dog. And sorry, Oscar, you just name popped up when
I know.
But anyway, the first 3 minutes is Oscar talking about the dog and what he had to eat and whatever. But Oscar has really, really good advice on cooking. So I can just, boink, 10%. And Oscar will be like, okay, today we're going to make burritos tacos. I'm going to show you how to make the best burritos tacos out of these simple ingredients in your kitchen. And every time I know that's Oscar's game, I just hit 10%. I'm right at the part, right? I have speed up, speed down. I do a lot of 2x watching. Try it. People think 2x is, try it. You would be surprised. Your brain is better than you think. So a lot of 2x or 1.5x listening. Oh, people say, how do you have time to listen to all of these things? And man, boom.
Oh my God. We are going to be wrapping it up here. I don't want to keep Doc Rock a little bit longer, but I do want to answer Cider Chat. You did have another question in terms of the Stream Decks. I don't really think that it doesn't have anything to do with your microphone. It really just has more to do with the complexity of what you're trying to create. And so I have the one that has all the buttons. I have a 32 incher just because I didn't want to grow. It's the little one is too little. The middle one is, it's kind of like the Three Bears.
Everybody that buys a 6 gets
Yeah.
a 15, and everybody that buys a 15 gets a 32.
Yeah.
I have a friend that has 3 32s to run his show.
Oh my God.
Because it gets cycle. And then I have a friend, Michelle, who loves her 6, and she look at that kid on the street, and we tease her because she only has the 6. I can't do the 6, so I have a 32 and a Stream Deck Plus, which I just showed you because I like the knobs and whatnot,
Yeah. So that it doesn't have to do with, having more than one person on a microphone or anything. It just depends on what you want to map to it and how big that wants to do. But there is one more question from Oscar, actually. He has this one about teleprompters and what to use and when not to, especially if you're early and need to keep your structure and agenda on track. I'm not sure what that means, but I think maybe you understand.
I have a very okay, Oscar. I have crazy questions. What agenda? And the reason why I say that, TV is 22 minutes. It comes out to 30 because of commercials. An hour show is 42 minutes, as you can tell when you watch the reruns on Netflix, because the rest of that time is commercials. This show is an hour. We're at hour 10. Why? Because you guys got questions and we love you and we want to answer your questions. Do we really care that it's 10 minutes longer than it should be? No. Why? Because nobody's going to bother us. So never what agenda. I'm just curious. You might have an answer I don't understand. Tell me and I'll work around you. But for me, you work with your audience. Your audience controls it. Luis will tell you, or Mr. Cameron Junkie, sorry, will tell you, I yell at the marketing people who be like, okay, this is an hour, we got to get off now, when the audience is right in the middle of all of the questions and they know got to go by because they told themselves that a show's supposed to be an hour. That is the dumbest thing you can do. If it takes you an hour 15 to cover a thing, make it an hour 15. If it takes you 35 minutes, Katie and I just did the shortest flow ever because we covered it in 35 minutes. Now, you want to hear crazy? I am known for the 5-hour energy stream. I give out awards for anybody that hits into the 5-hour club. So I've completely done 5-hour streams where the audience sat the entire time. Why? Because you're giving value. Your show is always about your audience. So let's start there. Now, I do have a teleprompter. And what my teleprompter does is there's Elise because I want to talk to her. I don't want to talk to her like this. Over here is your guys' comments. Over here is another set of comments. So I put her in the middle so I can eye contact her the whole time. As far as reading a script, I never do scripts. People nowadays want real people. And I'm going to give you a little bit behind the kimono.
Oh my God.
Corey and Elise said,
Elsie.
here's some questions and can you answer these questions? And it peels my skin because I'm a go with the flow guy. I don't like this kind of structure. It's confining. So I had to sit here really nicely and hold my it's super hard for me. Like I normally don't like it. I told in my interview class when I teach people to do interviews, I'm like, never send the questions ahead of time. Those are some of the worst interviews, right? But she had a very key elements that she wanted to make sure that you guys covered. So we still didn't stick to it. We did close though. And so it was very helpful. So the guidelines are great, but please don't try to force your show down a track. If the audience is asking you to turn, don't be the dad in the car that the whole family's like, no, dad, make a left here. No, guys, let's go straight. And then your family lost. Disneyland is way back over there. Everybody, don't be Griswold, what his name is. Don't be the Griswold. So if your audience says, hey, this is a great topic, but can we turn here? Yes. And you go with the flow. So yeah, I'm really curious. I think teleprompters are great for eye contact. I think they're great for bullet points. I really don't like to see people read me a script. Like I could just read a book.
There's like, and you know what? One thing I have to add to that is I think that one reason that, I have 2 different shows. One of them is heavily outlined, like 24 pages.
What?
And we
oh my God, I'm scared.
To it. I know, it's crazy. So I work within that parameter because I know that works for my co-host. Yeah. And it's our show, The Feed, the official Libsyn podcast. We still go over, but we cover so much content on that show. It is astounding, right? And I know how he works. I know that this is what works well for him. He needs to script his stuff out, especially when he has to give specific answers. So I go with it, right? With my other show, She Podcasts, I always get show notes together. Here's like 1 or 2 articles, and then it all goes away. Then it just disappears, and it becomes just us talking, and we go off the rails a lot of the time. We could do better at staying on topic, but that's the nature of that show. So for both of them, I have to adjust myself. I tend to like structure because it gives me freedom to do to kind of keep moving things along. I'm usually always on. I finished always on time, Doc Rock. I let us go today because I know people had a lot of questions today, and I was like,
and that's good.
but it's
And
a
so
conscious choice,
it's a
you know?
conscious choice. You do have to make
Yeah,
that choice. Like for me, I'm always wanting to make sure I get everybody's question answered.
right.
That's just my style of show. But I love the fact that you said with certain hosts, like I know with certain guests, I have to give them a channel because otherwise they panic,
Yeah, yeah.
right?
Yep.
So you will get used to that. But if I could give any recommendations, real simple, get something like a DeskView TS3. It's $99, and it will use an iPad, it will use a phone, whatever. I actually bought a specific Lilliput monitor, which was $150. When you can buy them open box on Amazon, they're like $100, and because it allows you to flip. So I literally
Oh,
just use it as a confidence monitor, as they call it, or as a place to look down the pipe when I'm talking to you on Zoom or Ecamm or something of that nature. So I have the Ecamm guest window right in front of me on the camera so I can look at you. But yeah, I think in that case is good. But man, if you saw me read a script, yeah. When I was famous in radio, they would bring me these commercials, and it's all written on a little 3x5 card. And the boss is like, "Read the paper, don't add anything else." I'm like, "Okay." Hey
yeah,
guys, check out
yeah.
Elsie's tires. If you go down to Escobar's tire and tent, you would get the best tent. I swear, I just took my car over there, and I just had a little bubble that I don't know how it came, and they didn't say, "Oh, that's out of warranty," whatever. Yo, she just got the heat gun out and she fixed the little bubble. So go over there and see, Escobar's tire and tent. Tell Elsie Doc said you heard it on KIKIFM, and just slide in there and tell her you're my friend. You'll get the best. Hey, you know what? Don't tell everybody, but she has good coffee in the waiting room. So just go check it out.
Oh
You
my
know what
God.
those people did? They always bought more ads. Why? Because I didn't go, this week at Escobar Tire and Tent, we have
Hmm.
Goodyear radios for snow. Oh, there's no snow in Hawaii. Like, that's corny. Nobody cares. People want to know that their best friend gave them a recommendation. So I always broke the rules. Eventually, my boss just gave up because we sold way more ads when I read the ad like I'm a human and I
Mm,
care about what it is. If I didn't like it, they didn't get those good reads. They got right what was on the paper. But if it was
okay.
something that, that no like and trust, I always gave them a better ad, and they normally became our best ad customers.
Yay. Well, thank
Options.
you. This is good. This is a
This is
great way to
fun.
wrap it up, to have options for all the people. We did had a question about audio editing in there. I think that there's so much to go into that,
That was
Christopher.
deep.
We do have, I know, we do have a really awesome live stream that we did with the folks over at Music Radio Creative, where we
I was
went
going to say,
really
follow Mike
super
Russell.
deep. Yeah, that's right. So Mike Russell came in here
Talk to Mike.
and did so much stuff together. There's also smaller videos that were taken from that live stream. Check it out. He was phenomenal in the way that he did what he was doing. So that's a great way to go so that we don't go too deep here right now. But thank you so much, Doc Rock. You let us know how we can follow you, how we can listen to you, how we can continue to learn from you, and what your schedule, your live stream. You're like, you live the live streaming life.
Yes. So every Tuesday, Saturday is my private stream where normally I will pick a topic, but I always end with a Q&A. Sometimes I just say skip it and do all Q&As. So,
Mm.
To Corey, Oscar, like Cider, do you have more questions? Just follow me on my YouTube channel. Every Tuesday, Saturday, I do a deep dive for creators, and it doesn't matter how complicated or how simple. Like, Chris, if you want me to walk through a whole EQ thing, top to bottom on my show, just pop in. Next Tuesday, though, I'm going to do something really unique.
Oh.
I am going to download and do the iPad Final Cut Pro live because everybody's like, oh, but I don't know how to edit. Nobody knows how to edit on the iPad with Final Cut Pro. Why? Because the app comes out on Tuesday. We're all starting from zero. So I want to do that live. So all the people who love to make that excuse that, oh, I don't have the experience. Nobody needs any experience. We're all starting on day one on Tuesday. We all start together. I will cheat and change my time zone to Australia so I can get an hour earlier, but whatever.
Oh my gosh.
But yeah, so come by, check that out. And for learning Ecamm, I do a live stream every single Friday where I go from zero to hero every single Friday, like 130 weeks straight. and we just go all the way through. But yeah, I'm Doc Rock on round about every social media thing, or you could also just send me messages through the Ecamm tweet stuff that's here on the screen. And yeah, I just love helping people because I feel that everyone has a story to tell. And the sooner you get out there and tell your story, share your knowledge, somebody else will also get into this. And it is one of the most freeing things. It's so amazing. So, like, I'm so in love with your She podcast situation because you know what I mean? Like, people just need to tell that stuff. And you'd be surprised every time you share, there is a you-size hole in somebody's heart today, and that's they need to hear you. So speak up.
Absolutely. Absolutely. You're speaking my truth, man. Thank you so much, Dot Rock, for showing up here today. And thank you all for sticking around. If you still have questions, you can drop them on over there. We do have something coming up with Dave Jackson. He's going to be doing kind of what Doc Rock does, but he does it via webinar. And he's going to be doing it on May 31st, his little Libsyn podcasting basics webinar. And he also actually has a coaching link where if you have any other questions that are just specifically to audio podcasting and workflows and things like that, this is a wonderful opportunity. I believe the team is going to drop these links there and you can learn that. And also our team's going to be going to London. How about that, Doc Rock? They're going to be heading over to the Pod Show, the biggest gathering of podcasters in Europe. So some of our team is going to be flying over there. So if you are in the UK, come and you happen to just, possibly be around, why not drop by? Why not see the Libsyn team over in London? So that's going to be amazing.
That is so good. I'm
so
a hardcore
nice.
Manchester United fan, so I would love to go with you.
Oh, good. I know. It would be so fun. I'm not going, but people are. Okay. So but anyway, thank you so much, everybody. It was great to see you here. Thanks again, Doc Rock. And we will see you next month with something else. Bye.